Back in high school, more specifically freshman, sophomore year, I would get teased or made fun of a lot for the way I looked. I had acne, my hair was pretty messy, I didn't dress that great, I had these long sideburns, and I was still holding on to a good amount of baby fat in my face. And at the time, I wasn't treated the greatest by other people. You know, I think a lot of people saw me as less than in one way or another at the time. And you know, this could also have definitely sort of played into me looking more underdeveloped at the time. Like my shoulders were slanted really in, making my posture look really tiny. My features weren't very defined yet. I had a very thin neck, for example, and my weight was really low for my height. I was like 5'9" and 120 pounds. I knew the level of importance and value that people tended to place on looks, especially in high school. And I actually made some improvements to my appearance by the time I was a sophomore in high school compared to my freshman year. Like I mentioned previously, I was like 120 pounds, 5'9". I used to probably dress even worse, and I used to wear glasses, and a lot of these things caused me to have an even lower level of confidence back then. So it sucked, you know, when I'd made some positive changes, grew out my hair a little, ditched the glasses, put on some size, but I was still getting made fun of for the way I looked. By the end of my sophomore year in high school, I knew I needed to make some sort of change. And one positive thing I did in order to change my situation was to push myself more, become more physically fit. And you've probably heard the story a bunch of times before. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but for a while there, I was doing a lot of things to help build my physical and mental strength, which resulted in my outwards appearance becoming better. And after that summer of truly locking in and dialing in on becoming better, I saw a massive difference in how other people treated me. People, I guess you could say, seemed more drawn towards me. From what I can remember, I was receiving a lot more respect than I had previously, and girls definitely seemed more attracted to me back then. Now at this point, I was doing excessive physical exercise, a lot of running in particular, and my weight had dropped to the high 120s and low 130s. I had also started practicing consistently mewing throughout the day during that previous summer, so I was also seeing some results in regards to my jawline looking a little more defined. I was still dressing pretty similar to how I was before. I had shaved the sideburns by that point, but in terms of style, I really hadn't made many changes, if any. It was more so working out on a regular basis, eating healthier and leaning out that allowed me to attract more people or get better responses from other people. But it eventually got to the point where I was just sick of it all, right? I was sick of who I was, and I was sick of constantly trying to challenge my mental strength. I had that previous year just sort of accepted myself as being someone who was unattractive and someone who would have to deal with that for the rest of their life. All I wanted was to just fit in. All I wanted was to not be made fun of for something for the rest of my life that would essentially deter me from moving up socially. So I thought that constantly challenging my mental strength would boost my confidence, therefore upping my respect from other people, therefore making me more attractive. And while that did work to an extent, I wasn't getting the response that I was hopefully anticipating from my efforts. So it was a choice between continuing going and pretty much losing my mind in the process, or letting myself rest up for a bit, gain some weight, and have a much easier time getting through my day-to-day life. So I chose option 2. And as a result of that, I fell into a major binge eating period that lasted for many months. I fell into some more bad habits along the way, and that led me to fall even deeper into a depression back then. My appearance had got to the worst it had arguably ever been up to that point. My hair was greasy and messy, my face was covered in acne, and I had gained 25 pounds in a single month. I felt very insecure. The comments regarding my appearance began to roll back in again, and I just felt like I was back at square one. All I could think to do at this point was to make myself look as good as I possibly could through means of style. But when I did this, it was seen as being flirtatious or weird. So after this experience, I came to the realization about how important it was to be athletic and lean when it comes to female attraction. So when I was able to sort of rewire my dopamine receptors and get my eating habits under control again, it was like I wasn't trying to get as lean as I was before, but it was almost like I was afraid of gaining weight. Like I would try to keep myself within a certain weight range at the time, which was good considering the sport I was doing, but it got to the point where I was comparing myself to other people. Now I wanted to be as attractive as I possibly could be, so I just started to take all these photos and videos of myself and compare myself to people who I found had similar features to me who I thought were more attractive. And so I began to see myself as less attractive physically than I actually was. I know I'd get really insecure if, for example, my hair was messy this day or my face looked a little bloated. And when we take things back to a year or so prior when I got to that really low body fat percentage, I never thought I was lean enough. It was always about seeing my bottom two abs. Like if I could completely see a whole flat surface all the way down to my bottom two abs, then that was what I wanted. That was what I strived for. You see, when it came to all these things with myself, trying to, chase perfection or maximization in terms of physical appearance, I just never felt happy or satisfied with where I was at. There was always someone out there better looking, leaner, in better condition than I was, and I would always sort of put myself up against them and compare myself. I wasted so much of my time worrying about my looks, obsessing over them, and watching all these, for example, 1 to 10 look scale videos on YouTube and trying to see where I'd fall and all that sort of stuff. When I look back on these times, I see a lot of deep-rooted pain when it came to me doing all these things. When I first started out high school, I was just very insecure and shy, and I felt like everyone else had something over me. Instead of sort of coming to the realization that I was wasting away so much time during the day and so much of my energy over it, I just kept comparing myself and obsessing over it. When I got out of high school after my little fall-off period, I decided that I were to rid myself of that obsession by shaving my head. And it was personally one of the best decisions I think I've ever made for myself. By doing it, I was able to create a new identity, and that pushed me to be better. There were obviously other factors that played a role in that, but making that identity shift that separated myself from that past version of me really helped me get past that period in my life. It helped my focus, and it really helped me utilize my time during the day much better compared to before. And that makes me feel so much more fulfilled with my life and so much more confident in myself compared to when I would just obsess over my looks. It's really opened my eyes up to how much more there truly is to life, and tearing away that part of myself has really helped open up my perspective. Now, I'm not telling you you have to shave your head or anything. All I'm saying is that there's a lot more to this life than just your appearance. And whilst it's important, you shouldn't be spending up to hours a day watching brain rot content, obsessing over your looks, and comparing yourself to others. Find the root cause of why you might be insecure about something, learn how to manage it, and eventually overcome it, no matter how big or small it may be. I hope this message helped you today, my friend. Keep putting in that work to becoming at least 1% better each and every day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.